Democratic donors and office holders and lawmakers have been voicing their concerns about President Biden since Thursday night's debate. Now, some of those are making those concerns public. Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Jingle says one interview isn't going to fix this.
But the performance on the debate stage, I think rightfully raised questions among the American people about whether the president has the vigor to defeat Donald Trump.
I was so moved by that evening that the next morning I was out to talk on the floor of Congress with our leadership and with as many of my colleagues as I could find to express the view that it was time for a replacement and for President Biden to step aside.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
Is that what it's about? Is that answer satisfying to you?
No, that is the answer that most concerned me as well. This is not just about whether he gave it the best college try.
Coming home to Texas this weekend, I would say that the input from my constituents has been 10-1 in favor of replacing President Biden on the ticket.
I think it's a legitimate question to say, is this an episode or is this a condition?
Joe Biden is running against a criminal. It should not be even close, and there's only one reason it is close, and that's the president's age.
That little compilation that you all just watched is infuriating Joe Biden, so much so that he's now essentially putting out a letter telling his detractors within the Democratic Party to STFU, all right, because he's not getting out of the race. Now, we're gonna give you some excerpts from that letter in just a moment, but before we do, Cenk, you have some pretty big name Democrats in that compilation, including Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, really questioning the capability of Biden to continue running in this election and eventually beating Donald Trump.
Yeah, but we're in purgatory here because over the weekend I did a live video about how Adam Schiff and the others had turned, and those are big establishment names. It's not like there's progressives turning on him. In fact, the progressives have held with him longer than anyone and more solid than anyone. I don't know that that's the right thing to do, but that's been what's happening. So it's interesting that some of the Democratic establishment all on the precipice of throwing Biden overboard, including Clyburn saying we should do a convention, etc. Now, having said that, there's only a handful of congressmen that have actually come out and said, yeah, he should step down. And those major figures have not. And this is critical, Anna, because during the interview with Stephanopoulos, he said, well, look, I hear people that are complaining that are in media or donors or something, but who cares about them? None of the Democratic politicians have come to me and said that they have a problem.
I mean,
so if they don't have a problem, then what's the issue?
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team. Look, to be fair, you have Democratic leadership like Nancy Pelosi asking questions. You don't see Democratic leadership making declarative statements about how they 100%. Believe that Biden should step down. There has been a handful of elected Democratic lawmakers who have in fact put out public statements. They've done interviews on television urging Biden to step aside and allow for someone more competitive to run against Donald Trump. But he remains defiant, and the letter makes that clear. Before we get to that though, I do want to just quickly talk about leadership in the House, because House Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, who would be House Speaker if Democrats had control of the House, has been holding these private meetings with Democrats, right? And during these private meetings, he's trying to kind of feel the temperature in the room and figure out what his own feelings are about this whole incident or this whole situation.
Profile and courage.
Profile and courage, exactly, right? We're being sarcastic here. Now, during a private call on Sunday, at least 4 more Democrats, including Representative Jerry Nadler of New York, Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut, Representative Adam Smith of Washington State, and Representative Mark Takano of California, privately said that Biden should step down. Today, Adam Smith, I noticed, had put out a statement publicly on social media as well. Nadler, as one of the more senior ranking members on that call, was the first person to speak up and say that Biden should should step aside. And he did so knowing that his seniority might actually inspire Democratic leadership to maybe grow a set and do the right thing. So far, we have not seen that from Democratic leadership. But there are other members of the Democratic Party who do not want Biden to step aside. The Congressional Black Caucus apparently is backing Biden no matter what. So we'll get to some details on that in just a moment. But in regard to the new Democrats who have come forward and said, no, Biden should step aside. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so strange bedfellows here, because this does not break down based on progressive or establishment lines. No. This breaks down based on who wants to win and who doesn't care. So Adam Smith is a conservative Democrat, Jim Himes is a conservative Democrat, so they agree with us that Biden should step down. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders still, Ro Khanna, etc., AOC, all sticking with Biden. But also some of the big names like Hakeem Jeffries, one of the most corporate Democrats there are. So it's an interesting set of alliances that we don't normally see. Congressional Black Caucus, the Biden team is leaning in to black voters and black leaders for two reasons. Number one, that is the only place left where he still has a lead. So yes, Trump has taken away a lot of his lead with black voters, but he still has a comfortable lead there. He does not with Latinos anymore, not with young people, not with progressives, not with almost anyone except black voters. So he's going to seek solace there, right? Mm-hmm. And then, but the second thing that it does is it gives him that identity politics shield. Oh, are you saying you're against black voters? Are you saying you're against the Congressional Black Caucus? And that's why he's using that as a trick. And leaders like Hakeem Jeffries are happy to help him do that because they're cowards and don't want to take the necessary steps to win. Plus, he doesn't really care about winning. He just cares about maintaining his own power, and that is connected in some ways to Joe Biden.
I mean, how do you maintain your power when you're about to lose a general election? I mean, and he, by the way, I mean, the George Stephanopoulos interview also made it abundantly clear that Biden is in denial about how he's performing in the polls.
And by the way, one of the reasons that he's in denial is because Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and others won't go to the White House and go, brother, you gotta go. This is now we're in landslide territory. You're losing crazy. 3 non-swing states. Now we're worried you're going to lose Minnesota, New Mexico, Virginia,
right.
New Hampshire, right?
But it'll be okay as long as he gives it his all.
Yeah,
right.
But I want to say one more thing that's important here. I invite any national Democratic politician who thinks Biden should stay in the race to come on the Young Turks and defend him. And the reason I say that, guys, is not because, oh my God, they would be a tough interview, it would, and that would be interesting. No, because literally, none of these people are saying Biden's gotta go, or what do you mean, he's great, I'll defend him. They're in purgatory. And so they're just sitting there being politicians with their finger in the wind. Which way is it blowing? Which way is it? Okay, we need one more poll. We need one more interview. We're so scared. We're scared of our own shadow. But also another giant thing here. They're also scared of their own voters because they created a Frankenstein of blue MAGA. And now blue MAGA is furious at any politician who says that Biden should step down. And just like red MAGA, this is their own creation.
Yeah.
And now they're having to deal with it. So I put that challenge out there. I doubt any of them will take it because they know Biden is not the right candidate. That's why they won't defend him in public. Not on this show, not on any show.
Well, the Democratic Party also created another monster, right? In that they have been trading in the politics of fear for how long now? And so the main talking point that you've heard from the Democratic Party for years now is you must elect us because Trump is a huge threat to our democracy. So you have both Democratic voters and some members of the Democratic Party panicking because they have completely bought that line. But the way that the Biden administration or the Biden campaign is acting, you would think that they don't even believe their own message about democracy being under threat. Now, I do want to go to the letter that Biden sent to, well, he made it public. He posted it on social media, on X, formerly known as Twitter. But it was a message, a clear message to the Democratic lawmakers who have been calling on him to step aside. And he writes, Biden wrote that the question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end. In other words, please stop talking about this. This is making me look bad. I'd like to move on and not have to discuss it anymore. He stressed that the party has one job, which is to defeat presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump in November. Yeah, I think the party knows that, which is why there are now many people in the party asking you to step down, but he wants those calls to be silenced. He says, quote, "I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to beat Donald Trump in 2024. I would like to believe that I look like a supermodel, okay, that I'm the most beautiful woman on the planet. But you have to be honest with yourself and accept what your weaknesses and flaws are. I do not look like a supermodel. Joe Biden is not the best candidate to beat Donald Trump. He is absolutely delusional about this."
I would have gone with a different analogy. I don't look like a supermodel.
I don't look like a supermodel.
Okay, but anyways,
yeah.
But I just wanted to make one quick point on that. It's a letter. The fact that it's a letter and Joe Biden not talking directly to the Congress people is already a giant clue that he's not well. Anybody could write that letter. Joe Biden didn't write that letter. His handlers wrote that letter, right? And you write a letter when you can't do it in person and you're afraid to take questions even from Democratic congressmen.
Finally, I have one more excerpt that I wanted to read to you all. He writes, or his handlers write, "We have 42 days to the Democratic convention and 119 days to the general election. Any weakening of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurts us. It's time to come together, move forward as a unified party and defeat Donald Trump." Well, I actually see this very differently. When he notes how close we are to the Democratic convention, how close we are to election day, all I can think about is how his obsession with maintaining power, okay, his selfishness is literally robbing a better candidate of more time to campaign against Donald Trump, thus increasing the chances of the Democratic Party beating Donald Trump. Like, think about that. Every single day that Biden refuses to drop out of the race is a day that he is robbing from a better political candidate that would go up against Donald Trump and potentially win.
By the way, he could also, and you might have heard this in a lot of places, and I want to make sure you have the reality on it. He can also take all of the money he's already raised and give it to a super PAC. But get a load of this. The people who gave money to Biden can then double up and give money to the new candidate. So the super PAC can use it on behalf of the candidate, and then they could double up their money. Now, I hate money in politics. I don't think any of these should be the rules.
Right.
But if Biden drops out, all those maxes are gone. They remax to the new candidate.
That's amazing.
Right.
Wow.
So it's actually a big advantage. So what you're hearing a lot of people saying like, oh, only Kamala Harris can get that money, et cetera. She might actually be at a slight disadvantage. She might be the only person not being able to double up on those campaign contributions. So I want you to know that too. And then the final word for me goes to one of our members because he's thinking along the same lines that I was. So this is from our website, tyt.com. If you want to sign up and be part of the show like this, tyt.com/team. We'll have the link in the description box. Bloated Ego says, Biden can stand up to Democrats, but no one else. And I was going to say something similar. In the debate, he flops against Trump. Can't say anything about the outrageous stuff that Trump said. Trump says, oh, they're releasing people from mental institutions and bring them to the border. That's not remotely true, just making that up. There's 1,000 things that he made up in the middle of the debate. Even on abortion, Joe Biden was terrible.
Terrible on abortion.
And could not stand up to Trump when we needed him. But when it's Democrats, all of a sudden Joe Biden's a lion and he's sending letters and he's doing this and how dare you? And oh yeah, are you guys racist? I'm with the Congressional Black Caucus. And he's throwing every trick there is. That's all he ever does is fight Democrats. By the way, if you don't know his entire career, his whole thing is I make deals with Republicans. So I'll fight my own party and so-called compromise and give Mitch McConnell 90% of what he wants. That's what he's known for in the Senate. So here he goes again, not fighting Trump, but fighting the Democrats who are trying to beat Trump.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.